Good afternoon, everybody. What is going on? I am jeffgrantMEDIA. In today's real user review, we're going to take a look at the Aught design Watchtower N-1 Deck Jacket. Now, Tad did send me this as a sample for review, but all the opinions in this video are mine and mine alone. I did not share this content with Aught design prior to publication. They will see this when you do. In addition to that, there is an affiliate link in the description box down below. If you're considering buying this jacket or any other product from Aught design, please consider using that link. It does not cost you anything extra, but I do get a small percentage of that sale kicked back to me. All of the money goes back into the channel to help me produce more content so consumers can make informed purchasing decisions. So I am inside and I am wearing a very warm jacket. My intent was to film this outside. I've been trying for a week. It is incredibly windy. Right now, actually, we are on a 2-hour delay because of high winds. They didn't want the little ones out at the bus stop, so Miss Hazel Fantastic is downstairs while I am trying to rip a review because I've been fighting this wind for a week now, trying to get outside. I thought it was very fitting to film this warm jacket outside, especially it's like 16 degrees out there right now, and I could probably stand around for an hour trying to film this. So hopefully we can make it through this entire video with the heat on. If you can hear that little hiss, the heat is on while I am wearing this deck jacket because it is very warm. So wearing this indoors for a long period of time, I'm gonna get hot, but we're gonna try to get through this. So who is Aught design? Well, they are also known as TAD. They are an American company based out of San Francisco, California. They make clothing and gear that is tactical and military inspired. You can see this in some of the backpacks they make, as well as some of the jackets and coats like the Navy Pea Coat or the N-1 Deck Jacket. Now, most of their clothing and products are made in the US with the exception of a few products being made in the UK. And the two jackets that I've had now, the Deck Jacket and the Interval WX, are made in the UK. So this is a UK made product. Now, the Navy N-1 Deck Jacket, it comes from the Navy. It is a style. Now, this is not a traditional recreation. This is Aught Design's take on it. So there are not, every feature on this jacket is not a one-to-one recreation of like a traditional Navy N-1 Deck Jacket. But if you want to see what the N-1 Deck Jacket is really, well, how it comes from, the evolution, you can check that out right here. Michael at the Iron Snail did a really good video on that where he goes into detail about it. But the Cliff's Notes version is they needed a durable jacket that could be warm to be worn on Navy warships, was resilient to the salt water that doesn't corrode the zippers, and they needed something that could be durable also to the wind and the salt water. So you have this flap that covers your zipper. So now the zipper won't corrode because salt water is very corrosive to metal. So now you're not going to have a zipper that's going to fail because it's corroded or get stuck inside your jacket because it's just frozen or it's corroded closed and you now cannot get out of your jacket. So that's what the storm flap is for, with the non-metallic buttons so you can button closed over the storm flap to keep your jacket closed. In addition to that, we do have storm covers on our sleeves. So we do have a elastic banded cuff to help keep the jacket around your wrist to keep that wind from coming up. And we have the storm cover as well on the cuff, which comes down and covers that because this is a high contact point and probably one of the weakest points on the jacket because it is an elastic, it's a little bit lighter material. So this rubbing will wear out quicker. So the storm flap helps to keep that covered to give you a little bit more weather protection, and it also covers one of the weak points in the jacket to give it more durability. So we also have our pop-up collar, and we have a chin strap here that we can unbutton and then rebutton for those super high wind days. So now we have some good facial coverage here. Now I will say if you're wearing a hooded sweatshirt, this is a little too snug. You cannot wear it with a hooded sweatshirt, but if you don't want to use it, you just unbutton it from the other side and button it back, and now your flap is secured and out of the way. I can still pop my collar if I am wearing a hoodie or a scarf. I still have plenty of room here, and if I don't need it, I can pop it down and it is now out of the way. So fit, feel, and finish of the Watchtower N-1 Deck Jacket. Now the fit, again, this is a size large on me, and I am 5'9", 175 to 180, and I find this to be a really good fit to me. The jacket itself is a little bit bigger, boxier cut, as a lot of military style jackets and coats are. And I feel like I probably could have sized down in this to a medium and then been completely fine. Now, you don't necessarily need to layer with this coat, as I will get into a little bit later on, but that doesn't mean that when I get to where I'm going, I don't want to have on a sweatshirt or a sweater or a heavier shirt. So having a little bit more room in this is very, very nice for those times when I'm going to work and I'm wearing a sweater underneath, or when it is 0 degrees outside and I do require to have one more layer underneath. But overall, this jacket is warm enough that I could probably go outside even in 16-degree weather with this just over a t-shirt like I'm wearing now and still be pretty fine to walk the dog or jump in the car and drive to work. Now, the feel of this jacket. The shell is a 100% cotton Bedford cord that is water resistant. And I can say that it is certainly water resistant because the very first night I wore this jacket was the day of Miss Hazel Fantastic's winter show at school, and it was pouring rain and I stood outside it for 20 minutes and I forgot to bring an umbrella, so I used a tiny child-sized umbrella that basically just covered my head while my back got completely soaked, and the jacket kept me warm and dry. It did not soak through with the liner, or my clothing underneath was not wet, so it is certainly weather resistant to stand out in a moderate rain for at least 20 minutes, not doing anything but waiting in line. And the feel of the shell itself is very, very nice. Now, the liner of the pocket on the knuckle side is a 100% cotton 8-wale corduroy, and it feels really, really nice. Now, the palm side is the same Bedford cord that the shell is made out of, and again, that does feel nice to the skin, so I have no problem sticking my bare hands in this pocket, but that 100% cotton 8-wale cord does feel really nice against the knuckles, especially if you're getting a little bit dry, chapped hands because, you know, winter, dry air, it happens. Now, the liner of the jacket is where we start to see some differences, where the Phantom and Chimera colorways have a 59% acrylic and 41% polyester liner, while the black colorway has a 68% polyester and 32% wool liner. But the sleeves on all colorways are polyester lined. And all in all, the construction of this jacket is incredibly solid, much like I've seen on every other product I've had from Tad thus far. I haven't seen any cosmetic flaws, no QC issues. I have nothing bad or negative to say about any of that. Now, one of the points of note are something that I just mentioned, the liner of the jacket. I've had people comment that they have last year's version of the same colorway and it had the wool blend. So I'm wondering if it is a supply chain issue that this year the Phantom and Chimera have a fully synthetic blend. Now, a wool liner would be warmer, an alpaca liner would be incredibly warm. Now, what that said, this has the fully synthetic liner in it. While I would like to have seen this have a wool liner, this is warm. I am very hot right now in filming inside my house. If I wear this jacket with the hood, walking the dog in 25-degree weather, I might be comfortable when I start, but by the end of the walk, I'm actually sweating. My body is so hot. It's 25 degrees outside and I'm so hot. Today, it was 16 degrees outside. It was incredibly windy. And the only thing cold on my face was my nose, because my schmog that I was wearing from breathing got a little bit too damp and I had to end up pulling that down. So my nose was running because the wind was whipping, and my face was just cold because it was slightly exposed, because it was warmer to have the schmog down than have the wet schmog against my face. But I was hot. Even at 16 degrees with a hoodie on, I was hot. The only thing cold was my face. I was warm. I had to get home, and as soon as I walked in the house, I had to get the jacket off. I was too warm. I've worn this down to 0 degrees without the wicked wind that we're having now, and I was completely fine. Without that wind, even at 0 degrees with a hoodie up and a schmog, walking the dog for like a mile and a half outside for 45 minutes, I was totally fine. The only time I would get cold is when I had to take off my gloves to either play around on my phone or to pick up the dog poop. When I didn't have any gloves on, my hands would get cold. My body was completely fine. So 0 degrees to 25 degrees is like my range to wear this. I haven't gone below 0. I'm sure with the wind chill, it's probably a little below, but this thing has been great to wear in this cold weather, even with the synthetic liner. The wool liner would have been even warmer. Now, if it's above like 30 degrees, I'm not even wearing this because I'm going to get too hot wearing this. So when I'm walking the dog and I look and it's 30 degrees outside, I'm wearing a different jacket just because it's too warm to wear this thing. I could probably get away with wearing it with a t-shirt underneath and be okay, but generally when I'm coming home from work or when I'm waking up in the morning, I put a sweatshirt on, and I'm coming home, I have like a flannel on, so I have another layer on, and it's just easier to grab a lighter jacket to throw on because I'll just get too hot in this. So if you live in a cold climate, this is gonna be a great jacket. Even with the synthetic liner, this is so warm. I'm very hot right now wearing this indoors. So the overall point of note is that the Phantom and Chimera colorways have a synthetic liner where the black has a wool blend, but even the synthetic liners are incredibly warm and comfortable. It feels good on the skin, soft enough to feel where it's not giving me any issues back of my neck when I flip it up, and it feels fine. So the synthetic liner, while I wish it did have a wool liner in it, it's totally fine. And the last point of note is that I wish this jacket had a cinch cord around the waist. Now, this isn't a feature that I need all the time, but this past week with these really high winds, I have gotten a couple breezes go up my back, so I would have liked to be able to cinch the lower portion of the jacket just a little bit to help prevent that. And because this is not a historically accurate jacket, adding that cinch doesn't really take away anything from the jacket. It just kind of adds an extra usable feature to it. So warmth-wise, incredibly warm. I think incredibly durable. I've been wearing this a lot, every day, basically. It's been really cold. We did have a snap there. It was really cold when I got the jacket, and then we had about a week and a half of warmer weather where I didn't wear it too much because it was above 30 and it's just too warm to wear. But now the past like 2 weeks, it's been really cold. In the past week, it's been like ridiculously high winds, and this is totally fine to wear. So the fit, feel, finish is great. The durability so far for me has been great. From what I've heard from other people, it has been great. Even though synthetic liner, I wish it had a wool, but the liner itself, great, so incredibly warm, and it looks good. Yes, I probably could have sized down into a medium in this, but I generally buy all my jackets in a large anymore, and it is a bigger cut, and even though it's so warm that I might not need to wear a sweater or sweatshirt or heavyweight flannel underneath this, it doesn't mean that when I get to work, I don't want to have that flannel on, or I don't want to have that sweater on, or if I'm going over a friend's house when I get there, I don't want to take off my jacket and I want to have a hoodie on because we're putzing around the garage and I don't need to have a jacket on, but I also don't want to have a t-shirt on because it's the garage where there might be some heat, but it's not going to be that warm. So when I get to where I'm going, I still might want to have that layer. So the size large works to give me enough room to still put on layers under that. In addition to wanting to wear layers under the jacket, the liner of the jacket is Sherpa, so it is a bit fluffier and a bit thicker, so that does also take up some of the internal space of the jacket. But do I think the Triple Aught Design Watchtower N-1 Deck Jacket is worth $395? Yes, I do. This is an incredibly well-made, durable jacket. Now this particular piece again is made in the UK, not in the US, but I have plenty of UK made goods that are very, very high quality, very durable goods worth the price tag. Now this is something that I will continue to wear for the rest of this winter and many, many winters to come. Now I've been wearing this again very heavily the past several weeks, probably more than a month at this point, and I see no signs of wear. I've worn this in the rain the very first day I got it. I stayed completely dry. I've had stories of people welding in this and been fine. Now again, this is modeled after a coat made specifically to be worn and worked in on the decks of Navy warships. So even though this is again not a historically accurate version of the jacket, this is Tad's take on it, it is still a very well-made, incredibly durable piece. This is very warm. This is going to get me through very, very cold days. And I did take it up onto the levee, which was probably the windiest places that I can think of, and it was totally fine. Here's a little clip of me trying to talk up there. River. Little airport. Completely clear-cut farm behind us. This is probably one of the windiest places I could test out this jacket. Just starting this little walk, so we probably got about a mile. Probably about a mile before the little one gets too tired, but so far so good, except for my hand that's holding the phone. Everything else is toasty warm. I do live on the East Coast. We're not known for our mountains. I've hiked Mount Marcy and Mount Washington. Those two places were probably the only places that I've gone on the East Coast that have been as windy as that levee. No other place around here, even if I took a hike to the top of this place, Camel's Ledge, that is basically a mountain, clear cut at the top. It's windy, but not that windy, and I was completely fine. My face was cold, body was completely fine. So I've done as much testing as I could possibly do and think of in this jacket, and it has passed every single test. So yes, I think this is worth $395. It is a great jacket. It is a great coat. It is also on sale from time to time, so maybe you can snag it for a deal. But if you're looking at it, snag one. This is something that I'm incredibly happy that I have, especially with how windy it is. Even though it's 16 degrees with that wind chill, it's probably closer to that 0 degrees. And I wore this again in 0 degrees and been totally fine. It might even been a little bit colder. I don't know if my weather station actually reads below 0 degrees, so it might have been colder than 0 degrees outside. But I'm incredibly satisfied with the TAD Watchtower N-1 Deck Jacket. It has been a pleasure to wear, a pleasure to test, and something that I'm going to continue to wear for a very long time. So if you like this video or any of my other videos, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Smash that big red button and ring that bell right next to it so you get notifications next time I post a brand new video. Good night.